We got an awesome panel for you tonight. Thank you, Janelle, for putting this event together. Janelle, CTO of New Iron, brought Beth Weeks, who's the Senior Vice President of Technology Engineering at Zilliant, been an Austin technology executive for a long time. Chris Berry, Senior Vice President and CTO, now People Admin, formerly of Accruent. Lana Kalashnik, down there, Director of Engineering, Software Engineering, W Consulting Group, and then Julia Jacobs, who we haven't met yet though, JavaScript Architect at Boundary. Thank you very much for coming. And Lana, you have the mic.
First of all, thank you for having us here, and thank you for welcoming me in Austin. I'm glad to be back. I thought Houston was hot until I got here. But I'm actually going to let Janelle cover the purpose behind this panel, and then I will go over a little bit over the ground rules of how the talk is going to play out.
All right, so I met Lana at the recent conference, at the Agile Austin conference, and found out that she was doing these women in technology panels in cities to try and raise awareness of some of the problems that women were experiencing in the field. And myself working on all men teams pretty much most of my career, I definitely had some certain experiences that resonated with me, and in talking to folks, it's a really important issue, but at the same time, there's a lot of systemic factors that are really concerning. So, for example, we were talking about some of the statistics with 2/3 of women that actually get computer science degrees are dropping out of the field, and not dropping out of the field for family reasons. They're switching careers because it's not working out for them. And seeing some of the pressures in our work environments, my goal was to bring some awesomely successful women for you to be able to hear their first experiences and firsthand, and then to kind of look objectively, kind of take a step out of the system and see what some of those causal factors might be that are driving women out of the industry, and what we as a community can actually do about it.
My name is Lana Kalashnik. I am a woman in technology. I got into it by an accident whenever I figured out that med school would take a very long time, and it costs a ton of money. So I was trying to find a challenge, trying to find something that would help me solve some issues, some social issues. I still want to help people. And why I'm doing this talk, also I'm a consultant. I'm a director of engineering for W Consulting Group. So that's what I'm doing now. And I'm based out of Houston, Texas at the moment.
So I'm Janelle Klein, CTO of New Iron. So for those of you who don't know who we are, we're a software niche recruiting shop run by software folks as opposed to kind of your typical.
I'm Julia Jacobs, and I'm a JavaScript architect. And the reason I'm an architect is I called myself an architect, and then people just were like, wow. And so now I'm officially an architect. So that's how I managed to move forward in my career, which sort of like defines how I've managed to make it as a woman in technology. So I have been in the industry for 20 years, and I co-ran a business with my husband for 9. I work for Fortune 10, Fortune 500 companies. I work front end, back end, upside, downside, and live to tell the tale. Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
All right, I'll try and keep the everybody awake theme going here. So my name is Chris Berry. I am a CTO at People Admin. For those of you not familiar with People Admin, we do HR software for the education vertical. So K through 12 higher ed, where you have highly compliant recruiting environments, performance reviews, those type of things. A little bit like that, I kind of landed in technology by accident. I was a math major and did kind of my freshman year and thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this degree? Teach? No, I'm out. I got to find something else to do. But what I did love about math was all the problem solving, and was able to find a home in technology and use technology to solve problems, and got my first programming job in the United States Air Force. And so I did 8 years in the Air Force and finished up my undergraduate degree while I was in. It was 1998, I'm dating myself for sure. Y2K was a big deal, and if you had COBOL experience on a Unisys mainframe, you were very marketable. So I made the choice to leave the service and join the commercial sector and have really never looked back. But it's great, and a little bit like my support network, both personal and professional, has actually been very strong. And I've always felt like my results, were really, I was able to stand on my results. Whether you were male or female, so it's been really great, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, Beth Weeks. I'm going to tell you some things that aren't in the bio and keep it interesting. I grew up in Horse Cave, Kentucky. You can probably tell by my accent. Yeah, that's 2,500 people. Probably counting animals too. I went to the University of Kentucky to school. I went there. I was going to be an accounting major. I had never seen a computer in my life. I began my computer career with punch cards. Yes, I'm one of those people that started with the things that are in the Smithsonian now. But at that time, if you look at statistically, at that point, that was the high water mark of women studying computer science. So I have no idea what I have done over the last 30 years to drive it down, and I apologize for that. So I'm chair, used to be vice chair, chairman of his advisory council, and it is because I want to do what I can at the university level to help get the numbers back up. Whatever I did to bring the watermark down, I'm passionate to get it back. And it is a passion here in Austin too. I've tried to submerge myself in activities at the school level, the STEM, and have worked with Ann Richards School, and have volunteered for some events at the University of Texas here that are introducing young girls to the field of engineering overall. So try to, and then every opportunity I get, when Janelle asked, I was like, absolutely, to talk about this topic and to see this room so interested in the topic is so exciting to me. And I had the opportunity last year to speak at Dreamforce on my career journey from development to executive because they did a call for diversity. And again, I'm so excited that we're talking about it and that people want to make a difference. So I hope what I add tonight will help you in some way, and I know I'll learn some things as well.
So the first question I have for the panelists is, why should we talk about women in technology? Why should we have diverse teams in general? And what are some of the effects you can see in software industry from having so few women?
So I'm currently working on writing a book right now on a learning framework that's really focused on human factors in software development. And one of the things I ran into on this effort is we've got these ideas about technical debt and object-oriented programming and all these principles that are supposed to be, the way that things are done. And one of the things that I find very different about women and men is their approach to problem solving. And that men tend to have a brute force, how do I fix it, what's the solution type of approach. Whereas women tend to have more of a hang back, reserved, let's think about this a little more type approach. And one of the things I'm seeing happening is that the main problem that I ran into that seems kind of systemic in the industry is kind of going full bore ahead with solutions and not stopping and thinking about what we're doing or whether those things are actually working, driving a lot of projects and stuff into the ground. And with social groups operating very differently, like you see an all-man social group and an all-women social group versus a balanced social group. There's a very different kind of dynamic between different groups, and when you have women on a team, the social dynamic on the team changes quite dramatically. And one of the things I'm wondering is if whether these problems that we have from a social standpoint are actually driving a lot of the problems that we have from a technical standpoint with some of the skills that you see more common in women with regards to empathy and kind of bringing the group together and taking a step back away from the problems and thinking about it before just kind of jumping in with solutions. Those are the social aspects that seem to kind of be missing in our industry. And so I kind of believe these two things are, coupled in that the social dynamic that's created from a primarily dominated by men industry ends up, causing a lot of the problems that we have today. So,
Thank you. So I think this is important because our businesses are diverse, first of all. Our consumers are global, global customers now. We have a diverse, most of us have diverse businesses. And bringing that diversity, into our products, into our ideas, I think we get better solutions by, just celebrating the diversity and the different ideas. That's what's great about our logic, right? It's your logic, and there's no right or wrong. And collectively, we can have a better solution at the end. Women are relationship builders. I think they're consensus builders. So typically, they will, help foster teamwork, and I think that just makes the team stronger and it's healthier.
But I noticed early in my career that I did think a little bit different and process things different. My ideas were different. And at first, I almost said, well, this means I don't think like the rest of my group. I need to move on. But I had to embrace that, and that's what I want to talk about is let's embrace that, because what you're doing is bringing a perspective to the table that needs to be brought to the table, just like all the other folks with, diversity of culture, diversity of gender, diversity of, all of those things help us just be better businesses, and that's what we're all here for, so.
Do they get anything done?
That's right.
Okay, yeah. In general, when we look at the issue of women in technology, we tend to find that there are two distinct issues that we're dealing with. One is the pipeline problem, so that's not enough girls are interested in technology as a viable career choice, which leads to not enough women graduating with computer science or any IT or STEM, for that matter, related degrees. And the second issue is the retention issue. So even after women have gotten all of the necessary training, they come out and they either don't even start to work in the industry, or they drop out, and they drop out at really high rates. So the next series of questions are going to deal with the pipeline issue. Why aren't girls majoring in computer science? And I think it's important for all of us to chime in on how we got into software in general. What really worries me is that right now, one of the studies that I've read, only about 3% of high school senior girls are planning to major in computer science. So the 10% that we had are going to shrink to 3 in the next 4 years if we don't do something about it. And so this problem is not going away despite us talking about it. So I'm going to go to Janelle. I'll just go this way. So how did you get started?
So I kind of fell into software a little backwards. I originally went to college to be a songwriter. So then I started to see kind of what a career in songwriting might actually be like, and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is really what I want to do. So I started looking around, and then I tried art, because, I like dyeing my hair crazy colors, and so that seemed like, a good choice. I paint and stuff too, and as I got into that, that was really intimidating as well, just like all these just amazing artists, and, I had fun playing with colors, but I'm like, I don't see myself doing this as a career. And then my now ex-husband, he's like, let's take an assembly programming class.
And I'm like, okay. And he's like, it'll be really fun, we'll do it together. And I was like, all right, I'll give that a shot. And so there I was, and I found myself in this assembly programming class. And I was like, this is kind of cool. It's kind of like programming on my calculator in math. And I always really liked math, and that's pretty awesome. So, and I started writing like complete programs. Like I wrote Breakout, the game with the little paddle and the blocks. I wrote that completely in assembly with colors and everything. And just completely ignorant that there was anything out there with like, you know, higher programming languages. And I had so much fun with it that I loved that I could take an idea in my head and produce useful tools and, you know, make things. Like, it was sort of the ultimate creative medium, really. And so I started, you know, taking other programming classes and got really into it, and eventually I switched my major to computer science. So it was just almost completely by accident that I got involved in it at all.
Yes, we did not actually have a lot of technology in the house growing up. My mom had gone back to school and graduated with an English degree when I was probably a teenager, and my dad still to this day does not have a college degree. So we just didn't. I used to think it was a big time to run to the neighbor's house and play Pong. That was great fun. And it's pretty amazing now as I watch my 4-year-old, you know, play on the iPad so quickly. But I did always love the math, you know, math and sciences, and really loved puzzles and problem solving. And that, to this day, if you go to the house, you'll see a jigsaw puzzle laid out on my table. And it's just something that I just feel real passionate about, and it's a nice break for me. As I mentioned, I started at the University of South Carolina and was a math major, and after a year really questioned, what am I going to do with this degree? I just didn't want to teach, and I didn't want to make the investment to be a professor, you know, with all the advanced degrees. I wanted to be able to start my career long before that. You know, I looked at the Air Force because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. They had some assessments and some things you got to do, and they said, oh, you'd be a great programmer. And I said, all right, that sounds pretty cool, right? It was right about the time Desert Storm was going on. It sounded better than, you know, learning languages that were going to put me overseas, or missile commands, or some of the other things that I was very concerned about. So this seemed like a pretty fun job, and that was really how I got my start. I didn't have a college degree as I joined the service, and they taught me. Went to a 3-month, basically a 3-month educational course. We learned fun things like Ada and Fortran, things that you really can use outside of the service, and ended up on a personnel system with COBOL. And did that for 4 years, and really had a good time. It was not exciting. It was, you know, it was personnel programming, so it really was not that glamorous. But what that did do is lead to my next Air Force gig, which was computer-based training, and that was a lot more fun, where we were building, you know, graphics of C-130 hydraulic courses, and you could click and turn levers and different things like that. So that was a lot of fun. And while I was in the service, I finished my degree in CS. And
so. But when I got out of school, I was like, I don't want to program. So I think when you talk about the pipeline problem, I think one of the things I would love to see happen in the community is exposing the younger generation to all the different roles and opportunities in this field. And I'm diagnosed ADD. I haven't really been diagnosed, but I think I've had it all my life. So, you know, I started, I was like, I don't want to program. What do you got for me? And I found working for a graphics computer company, and I was training. I was like, fly around the world. That sounds beautiful. But it was a great place to start my career, because what I was doing is teaching people who had drafted on boards for years how to use a computer.
I'm really curious what you think about that, this generational aspect.
Yeah. So again, getting involved in the university, trying to understand this, I had the opportunity to meet a young lady at the University of Kentucky, and I asked her, I said, so what is different from you being a teenager and me? And she said, she pointed out something that was very astute. She goes, I love to play video games. So she loves to play video games, and she's studying computer science. She's got 2 more years to go. But she said, when I play online video games, I never speak up, because when I do, I'm going to be abused. So it's like, whoa, that's interesting, right? First of all, there weren't video games in Horse Caver in 1980, so. You know, so that's understanding these things that are different, and what are the things that maybe turn them off or scare them about this. So that's one thing I learned. I wanted to comment on the video game, but you know, the interest in technology is there. Everybody's got their hands on it, but I think it's an image and perception problem. My belief is at a very early age, that maybe telling them I don't want to do this. My niece is in the 7th grade. She had like her first profile test, and the guidance counselor said, you know, you need to be an engineer. And she looked at her and she said, well, I don't want to build bridges. And I was like, oh, Lord. Seriously. So they don't even know what that means. So we don't even educate them on what that means and what opportunities are out there. So I'm like, okay, there's one problem. So, I mean, I'm trying to dig in and understand, because there's definitely some cultural and social things that are very different that I didn't have exposure to that I think are driving away. So.
And actually, I'm going to have a follow-up question for you on that. Since you are involved in the educational system, not in the system, but you're a chair now, and that's, first of all, really admirable, so thank you for doing that. And shortage of women in IT and STEM fields is often attributed to our educational system. So what do you think is preventing women from seeing software and technology as a viable career choice? And have you encountered any issues there?
Again, I'll give a good example, a data point. Ann Richards School, I had the opportunity to do a tour there, and they have a program for anybody who's interested, and I strongly encourage you. They take these girls as juniors, and they prepare them, and they go for a week in the field. So I said, oh, sign me up. Great opportunity. I can tell you that one data point right there, at the school level, this is public school, Ann Richards is a public school, and AISD, they had no idea, very little exposure to computer science in general, which I was kind of blown away. But we have to make ourselves available and show them what it is like. And so bringing them into my work for a whole week and exposing them and having them talk to the person who does user interface design, the person who does documentation, the person who does QA testing, the person who does management, everything, soup to nuts. They left there like, wow, we had no idea. So that's really the problem, is the exposure. And some of us, you know, may have had high-tech parents. My kids, my son is a computer science major, but he's been around it, he's emulated. For those students who are very capable and talented, if they don't have exposure to it, and we all need to be role models, and we need to show them it's fun. I mean, I've had students, that's not the first time I've done it, they're like, wow, I had no idea this would be fun. Yeah, show it. So over the last 5 years, we've seen enrollment go from 13% in engineering, I want to say College of Engineering, not computer science, to 19%. So it's like we're doing some right things there. They hired a recruiter that's focused on diversity. This last summer, they started a summer camp for introducing women. So there's a lot of universities that are doing some things. It's coming up. Now, you get back to the next problem. The next data point is first and second year lost and dropout, keeping them. And that has gone the other direction, 14% to 9%. 11% to 4%. So we have, it's back to looking at, you know, we're all engineers, looking at the data. You know, looking at the data, we are going to focus our initiatives and our recommendations on retention. So we got some good initiatives coming in, but the retention part. And having interviewed some students, here's what I'm learning. Number one, and I can attest to this myself, confidence level is not real high in me, believe it or not. Question myself, can't do it 100%, I may say, no, that's not for me. So confidence level, maybe take fear of failure. I know my brothers, they'd be like, yeah, try this, fail, fall down, break, whatever. You know, me, I'm like, oh, if I can't do it, if I'm gonna fail, I mean, so I think there's some factors here. But the support groups, what I'm trying to do, and you can look at some universities, there's mentor programs. I'd love to see us do this in the community. Let's get some mentor programs for, you know, young women. What can we do to mentor and coach and encourage? Maybe they're in the wrong place. Not every software company in the world is a bad place, but there's some bad ones out there, I believe, based on reading some articles. But mentor and support, I think, is key, both at the collegiate retention level, and I think some of these solutions apply in keeping them in the career piece too. We just need, I'm that way, I'm relational, as Chris said, and I need support group and I need encouragement. So I hope that helps. I don't know if anybody had.
You had mentioned, again, before, showing all the opportunities that are available through technology. It's not just, you know, you sit in a cubicle at a computer and it's, you know, akin to data entry. You know, there's a lot that you can do with it. Pretty much anything you want to do, showing that, hey, you know, you can have your own startup and, you know, be an entrepreneur, and, you know, you can be a contractor and have a boat and, you know, travel around the world. Or, I mean, it gives you the freedom to work anywhere, because if you're a programmer, you can pretty much get a job anywhere in the world as a contractor. I mean, it's, you know, there's a ton of different options that you can't do with other types of jobs. And I think if, you know, show that flashy lifestyle, you know? sell that dream.
I think the few female computer scientists we have in some of our, you know, criminal minds and those kind of things, really aren't even taken seriously. They're comic relief and things like that. So even the few that we have are not really well portrayed in the media. And I think I really agree with you know, the other panelists that when I was working with the Women in Computing group at Brigham Young University, I was really amazed when they said, you know, it was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm getting my degree, but I really don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't like to code. I'm like, well, there's so many things that you can do. There's product management, right? There's QA. There's, you know, program management and working with, you know, Agile and Scrum Masters and process training. You know, there's training, software training. So I think educating people that, you know, what does it mean to be an engineer? I think when you think about law and you think about medicine, those are very clear, you know, definitions of what you're going to do when you grow up. It's not as clear when you say I'm an engineer. And then I think the other thing is, you know, really having programs in our workplace with Bring Your Daughters to Work and exposing them and making technology fun to build and not just fun to consume, right?
You know, fixing our education system to be more relevant and representative of industry, I think would be another thing that we could improve.
My organization, my software group, percentage of females 22. I'm like, that's pretty good. Okay, now let me break it down for you. 12% of that is in the US. I have 30% of my team in the Ukraine. Now this is my team. So it's interesting because Lana, we talked about this. I was like, what's going on? Something, that's a factor. So I don't know, Lana, if you want to kind of share, it's just the exposure, the culture from young girls, it's very different. So I'll tee it up for her to share.
Yeah, and I never put any thought into it, but whenever I never thought that I could not be good possibly at math and sciences because girls pay more attention, so I assumed girls were smarter, no offense. So, and that's the attitude I came into it, then I was like, oh, we're equal, great. But I think what came, my parents are both doctors, so I'm skewed in that, so I come from a scientific background somewhat, but at the same time I took so much math and sciences by 9th grade, I graduated at 15. Here, so whenever I actually transferred over, I had, you know, I took Calc 2 by the time I was 15 years old. And that kind of takes the fear out of it, and because there are a lot of stereotypes. Girls want to be accepted, boys do too. We want to do things that are not going to make us stand out. We want to be just like everybody else. So if science is not something that scares you, you're not going to, you know, afraid to stand out doing that. So that's my personal experience with that. So yeah, take fear out of math. That's the first thing you hear, like, when I tell people that I'm an engineer, they're like, oh, you're an engineer, that's a lot of math. I'm like, it's not so bad, it's just, that's why I program, so I don't have to do math.